Greetings, beautiful earthlings. My name is Star. If you are new here, I don't know how you found me, but I am super grateful to have you. And if you are returning, y'all, the real MVP, you already know. Today, friends, I have something that I am so very excited to show you, and a lot of you guys already know what this is if you're following me on Instagram. So this is something that I have been mulling over getting for quite a while, and I finally decided to just do it because it has been calling to me like crazy. So you guys already saw the title, you know why we're here. I've got the White Witch Tarot here today. So this is super exciting to me because Baba Jolie used to use this in her readings. She has since changed it up and stopped using this deck, and whenever I would watch her videos with using this White Witch Tarot, it would give me crazy messages, like more messages than what she would be getting for these. And these cards are just so crazy intuitive. And so I went online and I found them and I was looking at them, and the more that I looked at them, the more messages I would get from them, and I started having dreams about it. And that's happened to me quite a few times before, where I dream about like using a certain deck or something, and I kind of just take that as like the universe's way of showing me having that deck, showing that, you know, things are going to come together. I'm going to have that deck eventually. So I usually follow my dreams, to be cheesy, but this one means a whole lot to me because Baba Jolie is so very inspirational to me as a reader. And as you guys know, this is just the majors, so this was kind of hard for me to get because I do have my wooden hermetic tarot that is just the majors. So I felt like if I was getting this, it might replace that wooden hermetic tarot, and my guides have since shown me how we're going to be doing readings using both of them. So it's not really such an issue, and I guess different guides like using different decks anyways. So just in the few days that I've had this deck, I have had so much happen with this deck. Like I think this probably has the strongest voice out of all of the decks that I've ever had. It's kind of the same as my wooden hermetic tarot, but I think the reason my wooden hermetic tarot has such a crazy voice is because it's wood. It's an organic substance. So I feel like it carries a lot more spirit with it than, you know, just other tarot cards. But let's go ahead and cut the chatter, take a look at this deck. I know that's what you guys are here for. So this is actually a really super cool box. As you can see, it is gold leaf on the box. The cards are not metallic like that. If you know, were misled in any way by looking at the pictures thinking they were. So this is actually one of the coolest boxes I've ever seen for a tarot deck. There's your back, because it has like this little drawbridge thing going on here. So it is a magnetic closure, which is always nice. And right here at the beginning, this talks about Maya, I think her name is. If you can see that, there you go. There's a little blurb about her there. So then you've got your book here on top. And I will link below where you guys can find this on Amazon as always. Just understand, you guys, that if you are going to be looking at this deck, it is just the majors. There is no special edition where you get like the full 78 cards. This was made specifically as just the majors, okay? So in reading through this book the other day, I realized that she talks about in here, the contents of this work arrived as a result of engaging the practice of techniques originated by Dr. Kelvin DeWolf in his self-developed system Paradigm of Power. So this was a result of whatever this Paradigm of Power thing was, and she had, you know, specific visions of these cards and everything, and that is how she came about the images. So as you guys know, if you have ever looked at this deck, the images are so very off the wall. They are nothing like any other tarot deck, and there is a reason for that. It's because she was kind of divinely led to these visions that made up these tarot images, right? So in here, I think this is the only card spread it has, is a suggested card spread, and this is the same one that Baba Jolie used to use, which was the 3-card spread, being the protagonist, antagonist, and the unified position. So I think that's really cool that that actually was not like something that she had come up with or something she had been using. It was suggested by this deck, and she clearly read the book and actually utilized it from the book, which is beautiful. So it explains kind of the role of each of those cards there. And then the interesting thing about this book is that it doesn't give you like descriptions of the cards or meanings of the cards or anything like usual. They each kind of have like a little poem to them, and I've tried reading these poems quite a few different ways, and they're all very super interesting. And then it does talk about, I love this little conclusion that it has here. It says, when the reading is over and you're placing the cards away, take a moment to view the response from an imagined state where it was not you who had asked the question, but rather someone who was alive 100 or even 1,000 years ago in a faraway land. How might they relate to the query? So food for thought that I would have never ever thought about is kind of how you can relate that to people in other times, in other, places. So this is a really super cool deck. Just in going through the deck, the book alone, you can tell it's so different. So this is, I love this little box. This is the coolest thing ever. This is your deck. Here's your back. And it does kind of look like they would be metallic, right? But these are not. They're like a whitish, yellowish color. It's very interesting. It seems like they're made to look metallic, but they're not. I saw some people complaining about that in the reviews on Amazon, and it's like, that shouldn't even be an issue. But they do have this beautiful gold edging here along the sides, and these cards are actually very thick, and I thought they would have been a lot bigger. They're really not. So as you can see, I've told you guys before, I have very small hands, and these actually aren't very big. They're just different, right? They're more square than most other cards. Most other cards are usually like tall and skinny. These ones are pretty close to evenly square, but they're just a little bit taller than that. So I can't compare this to any other size of any other deck because I don't have any other deck with these like square sized cards, but I would say height wise they're probably the same as like the Starseed or something, like a Hay House deck. So they're just not terribly huge, which is awesome. And as you can see, it's not too thick because there's only 22 of them. So if you guys have never seen these images, I'm sure this seems crazy to you, right? Like, why would you buy a deck with only 22 cards and some of the weirdest imagery ever, right? And that is because these cards are not meant to mirror the Rider-Waite, or any other type of tarot. They are meant to be highly intuitive and speak to you with different visions each time. So the longer you look at each of these cards, the different visions you will get. Each of these, there are just so many things in each of these pictures. And I think the reason why it's made out of this light, like white and gold, clearly it's a White Witch deck, but I feel like that's meant to kind of work through the powers of light and vision there to really get you working intuitively with this deck. So I am so very enamored with this deck. I love it so very much, and I knew that I did long before I bought it, long before I even considered buying it, just watching Baba Jolie use it. It's such a crazy beautiful deck, and I hope that Maya at some point thinks about making a full deck. It would be really nice to have all of this amazing imagery on a full deck, but I think that these standalone work just perfectly, just fine for what the use is, because these aren't really meant to tell you things like a tarot deck where you're using specific definitions for each card and specific keywords and using those as kind of your baseline. Yes, you can still use these in that way, but these are meant for you to go off of the pictures, follow the images, follow whatever messages your guides are giving you from this deck. And like I said, this deck has such a powerful voice. It's to me, it feels and sounds very feminine, but very much like the goddess Isis. That's the way that I can compare it. Just very powerful, very commanding, very feminine, still, nurturing, but still very powerful. It's a lot. So when I first opened this deck yesterday, my hands were shaking, and I thought that maybe that was just because like I'm just so excited about this deck, right? But I put it down. I was like, okay, let me take a minute and, you know, collect myself. So I put it down, came back to it a couple minutes later, and the second I picked it up, my hand started shaking again. So I took the cards out and I started, you know, like rifling through the cards, and I could feel just this vibration coming from the cards, which is insane. I've never had that happen to me before with a tarot deck ever. So the energy of these cards is so very immense. I had to put them down again, take a minute. You know, I couldn't handle them. It was just like so very much. I felt like a huge pressure to let the deck breathe. That's the only way I can explain it. There was just this huge pressure of put me down, get away from me, let me acclimate. So that's what I did. I left it here. I put it on my dresser. I put a big stick of selenite on it, and I let it kind of acclimate for a couple hours. And then I came back to it and I started rifling through the cards. Again, I had this overwhelming sense of being shaky, being kind of out of breath. Just, it was so very much. And I kind of just took my time with it, kept looking through each card, just seeing what each card said to me. And then I started kind of doing my introduction that I would with any other deck. And I immediately got, you know, just such a strong voice, such a strong connection with this deck. And I asked if it could show me, you know, what message it felt I needed to hear at the time, or she, if it, you know, as it were. And yeah, she definitely gave me, you know, my 3 cards, and there was a lot that came with those 3 cards, like an unbelievable amount. So when reading through all of the comments on Amazon about this deck, I feel like everybody pretty much has the same experience with this deck. It's very overwhelming, it's very intense, it's very powerful. And everybody says the same thing. If this deck calls to you, you will not be disappointed. So I kind of had the same feeling for quite a while, where it was really calling to me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I kept going back to it. It was really bothering me. And the longer I kept looking at those images and reading through the like descriptions of the pictures on Amazon, I just could not stop thinking about it, and it was bugging me. It was really calling to me. So I am so very glad that I followed my gut and decided to get this deck and just kind of bite the bullet on the price, because this deck is upwards of $25 for just your majors. So it was kind of a splurge, and that's because I don't intend on buying myself any decks for a little while. I think I'm going to lay low on buying tarot and oracle decks for a couple of months, because I have been getting gifted so many tarot and oracle decks from you guys that I'm kind of having a hard time bonding with all of them and giving them all the time that they need. So I figured this one's going to be my last one for a little while. Might as well just get the one that has been driving me cuckoo bananas in my dreams, in my thoughts, in my day-to-day life. I just could not stop thinking about it. So I am so over the moon that I got it. I am so overjoyed to have it in my hands finally. I cannot wait to start working with it on camera, because like I said, the messages that I personally got from it are just so different, so incredible, so amazing. And the way that this deck speaks to you is in such a different way than any other tarot deck I've ever worked with. So yeah, I think out of my 35 decks, this one is by far still now I'm still feeling like really shaky, really like just overwhelmed, just holding it this long. Just, you know, I feel like it's gonna take a little while for me to get used to its energy. So if any of you guys are thinking about getting this deck, I would highly recommend it, because I feel like you're gonna have a very unique relationship with this deck that you won't have with any other deck ever. Really, ever. I cannot stress that enough. I don't have a relationship like this with absolutely any other of my decks, not even my wooden hermetic tarot, which is again a very different energy because it is an organic substance, very powerful hermetic imagery, stuff like that. But this one just blows me out of the water every single time that I pick it up. So I have to constantly just take breaks from it, you know, give it some time to acclimate. I think it's going to be a little while before you guys see this one on camera. I'm not quite sure how she feels about it. She was willing to at least do this review. I did have to talk that one over with her because it's a whole lot. I'm sure it's a whole lot for her to acclimate to me and my energy and my space as well. So I really enjoyed this whole experience so far with this deck. I wish that I could just give every single one of you guys this experience, but I'm sure that this deck does not speak to everybody the way that it does speak to me, and it does not call to everybody to get a major only deck like this. I just kind of knew that it was going to be a different experience because of the energy, because of the imagery, and I just, as prepared as I thought I could not have possibly prepared for what I embarked on with getting this deck. So if you guys made it to the end and you like this video, please give me a big old thumbs up. You know, that helps me out so very much. And if you didn't like this video, that's cool. Thumbs down. You don't have to like my video. Say whatever you say whatever you want in the comments, because y'all do anyway. But I really hope you tell me what you think about this deck. Do you have this deck? Do you love this deck? Do you want this deck? Are you gonna get it? Do you know other things about the artist that I do not? I think her name's Maya de Aust. I don't want to be wrong. I feel terrible if I am. And you guys already know that I have all of those links in the description box for you guys. If you would like to join my Facebook tarot community, you can do so. The link is down there, as well as the link to send me tarot or oracle decks if you would like me to review any for you. So I hope that wherever you guys are when this video reaches you, you have a beautiful, wonderful day, my friends. And I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Namaste.